Hello everyone, I'm Wendell Jones and welcome to this edition of the program, The Platform. On this program, we examine national issues. The leadership for trade unions in the Bahamas, it comes up every now and then in various unions, and this Friday, the members of the Bahamas Public Services Union, they are going to the polls for the election of officers for that union. And Mr. John Pinder has been the president of the BPSU for some 12 years, and he is going to face competition from Mr. Alexander Burrows, who is a candidate for the presidency of the BPSU. And on Mr. Burrows' team, we have Stephen Douglas, who is a candidate for the position of Executive Vice President, and Dwaine Stevens, who is also a candidate for Secretary General of that union. Well, much has been in the news about the Bahamas Public Services Union, and so the team that is in opposition to the incumbent, they're here today on the platform, and it's our pleasure to welcome them. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Good, thank you. Mr. Burrows, since you are the presidential candidate, you are resident in Grand Bahama, we are told.
Yes, I am.
Yes. Now, why are you running for the presidency?
We sat back as a group of responsible men, and we saw that the Bahamas Public Services Union seemed to have taken a trend for the worse under the present leadership. My good friend John would have been at the helm of this organization for some 12 years. He came in office in 2002, and now this is 2014. That is now 12 years. And he's asking the members to give him another 3 years to make it 15 years. He would have had to been doing something very good to be asking for an additional 3 years. But when you walk through the various government departments and you speak to the membership of this organization, you will hear the cry from them where they are disappointed, disillusioned with Mr. Pinder. He is the kind of leader that has very little respect for the members. Members have complaints. He doesn't adhere to the rules to get engaged with those complaints. And the list is extremely long in the Public Services Union. And members are dropping off every single day. Every day members are dropping out of this union. It's having an effect on the finances of the union now as to how we really operate. As a matter of fact, the medical plan, which cater to a portion of our membership, seem to be in a disarray. And I am sorry for those retired civil servants who rely solely on the medical plan to help them with their medical expenses. He is now using the medical funds to offset the operation of the general union.
Wow.
And which means we don't have much expense there, but expense like his salary has to be paid out of the medical plan, the majority of it, and all of those officers that he has around him. So we are in a dire strait. It's a SOS out there on behalf of the Bahamas Public Services Union members.
Mr. Burrows, it seems to be heady business running a union with thousands of members. And you are in a pretty good job in Grand Bahama as a assistant financial controller of the hospital authority. Why you want this headache?
I would have been in the union for many, many years. As a matter of fact, most of my training when it comes to dealing with people is from the operation of the union.
You were shop steward? I
was shop steward. As a matter of fact, I also was the Northern Region Vice President under William MacDonald. I would have worked under Allington Miller, and for a short stint, Mr. Thaddeus Darlin. And I grew up in the organization with that attachment to it, and I have that desire that I just can't sit back and see such danger and just say, well, it's all right. It's not all right.
So you are a union man at heart.
Yes, I am.
Stephen Douglas, you ran for president last year.
Yes.
And this time you are running for executive vice president.
Yes.
Why not president?
Well, early on in after the election, I withdrew to see the direction to see and determine which direction the organization was going. After realizing that there was such high voter apathy, persons just didn't care about the organization and direction it was going no more, we decided to try and form a team to challenge John so that we can recover the organization, get the organization back. Fortunately for Mr. Burrows, he called and he determined in his mind that he's going to run for president. I say, all right, I'll yield, because my thing is for the betterment of this organization. This has nothing to do with Stephen Douglas. After sitting back for 3 years and seeing the apathetic way our members really look at our organization, seeing the degradation that has come to it, when John took office, we had over 6,000 members. Today, we have a little over 3,500, if that much. All right? So, I just got angry with seeing that this man had 12 years. 12 years to lead this organization. We are worse off today than we are in 2002 when he took over. So,
and how many people are in the public service, all told, who are eligible to be members?
We have a potential of 14,000.
14,000?
Yes.
And you just have about 3,500 members?
Yeah, but if you go around and you canvass persons, they dropped out. Bad representation, no kind of information as relate to union. We don't even have a shop steward agency. I went into Silence today. There's no shop steward in Silence. Ministry of Works. There's one shop steward, and I don't know how active he is, because when you ask him about information as relates to the union, he can't give you. All right, so the organization is falling apart at the same. So I just feel like in my heart, there's something that we need to do, and fighting Mr. Burrows or fighting another team isn't the way to go. So we collectively decided, look here, let's get together, let's make this thing happen. I have no problem with following Mr. Burrows' lead. Like you said earlier, he's a senior man, he's been around the organization a long time. And I'm prepared to support him in whichever endeavor he chooses.
Mr. Dwaine Stevens, you are running for Secretary General. Tell us how the union, why you think the union lost some 3,000 members over 12 years.
Well, Mr. Jones, I believe the union lost over 3,000 plus members due to the fact, as Mr. Douglas would have said to you just now, poor representation from the leadership. Bad dissemination of information. We find we have in place a Secretary General whose one of his primary responsibility is communication. And we have persons throughout the length and breadth of this archipelago who are members who don't even know the basic entitlements that they are entitled to as a union member. We've had the experience of encountering persons in the family of violence who don't even know that they're entitled to a pension after retiring. We have shop stewards who, we just had an annual general meeting last year, and they have yet to receive an audit report. Simple communication throughout the union it never reached where it needs to reach.
Well, I hear what you all say, but how is it that for 12 years, your membership voted for Mr. John Pinder and his executives? How is it that he was able to be re-elected? Because it is for a 3-year stint, eh?
Yes.
So for 4 consecutive times?
Well, we find that for the most part, we are many members they ask you for the truth. But when you put the truth to them,
they don't like the truth.
They ask, especially when money is involved. Money is involved, like the just recent lump sum. Folk put their interests, their wellness down and take up that little lump sum for a short period of time.
So you are suggesting, and he is suggesting, Mr. Burrows, that Mr. John Pinder has been able to secure a lump sum payment for members of his union recently. And because of that, they're going to vote for him, right? That's what he's suggesting.
Well, I can see where the incoming Secretary General is coming from.
But you call him incoming? Okay.
Yes, yeah, incoming.
All right. Okay.
What Mr. Pinder is, what his experts, he has a group of persons around him who tells him how to maneuver. As a matter of fact, we have a lawyer in the office now. We don't know who really he's working for, but he occupies a portion of the union's building upstairs for some kind of counseling. And he used that lawyer to his advantage, not the union's advantage now, but his advantage. Now, Mr. Pinder, over the many years, yes, he would have used also the increases for his advantage, and I think he believed this time it's going to work for him. But in every organization, we grow up from time to time. We grow up, and our members, we consider the low level in the public service. They are now educating us, and so that they believe Mr. Pinder is trying to take them for a ride, okay, with this lump sum that he's now providing, just a one-time lump sum.
What was that amount, by the way?
It is based on your based on your personal increment. Whatever your increment is in the public service, that is the lump sum, which starts at $400.
$400 a year.
$400 a year.
One time.
Yeah, but $400 a year goes up to, because everybody would be affected, up to $1,000, which would be the permanent secretary, etc., etc. So he uses that, okay, to say, well, that will be his cushion. Now, what he did also, mind you, he tied the union's hand for 5 years.
With this one lump sum payment?
With agreement.
With an agreement that says nothing else for you now until 2017. Okay, that concludes the agreement. Of course, he puts some little nuggets here and there with some hazardous pay, which has nothing to do with the person's salary, because once you retire, you don't factor in no allowances. People want to know what adding to the base of their salary, and it's a crying shame. It's ridiculous. He panicked, and he's panicking because he has nothing to go to the members about other than saying, well, see, I do this, I did this, I did the next thing. He's running around Nassau like a chicken without a head, all through the family islands, trying to convince persons to say, well, give me another chance. To do what? To do nothing. It's a shame to see how this organization got to the level that it is. And that's why strong men and women that constitute the Hammer team, we are going to make a difference, a real difference. And persons have been asking us when we move around these various departments, are you going to be like John Pinder? Because all you all coming to us saying similar things, and as soon as you get in, there's no difference between you and John Pinder. So we had to convince them in some form, because we are real and we are serious. We put a code of conduct on our members, on the executive, which will later enshrine into our Constitution. And I just want the Secretary General to just read those points of a code of conduct that will govern this new administration.
It's not too long.
No, sir. No, sir. Okay. No, sir. It's not long.
Let's hear this is your code of conduct for officers.
For officers
of the union.
Yes, okay. Incoming officers.
Okay, Mr. Stevens.
This administration firmly believes and asserts that all elected officials ought to conform to a professional standard of conduct, which involves ethical principles and morality. That is to say, clear recognition of what is good and what is bad, and fulfilling our obligations faithfully according to our election mandate. Accordingly, we will solemnly pledge to pattern our professional behavior in line with the Declaration of Geneva adopted by the General Assembly of the World Medical Association of 1948. Solemnly dedicating ourselves to the service of our membership, and by extension, to the entire Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We will extend to our membership the respect and gratitude which is due to them. We will carry out our mandate with conscience and dignity, never departing from focus on the general welfare and well-being of our members. We will never disclose matters of confidence pertaining to our organization or that of any individual member of this organization. We will provide service above self. We will act promptly on and pursue quickly resolution to any dispute or grievance involving any member or group of members. We will act honestly and responsibly in all business transactions in the name of our organization. We will not use our positions for personal gain or influence to enhance our personal interests. At all times, we will strive assiduously to make our organization stronger and more vibrant. We will allow no situation to cause us to operate under fear or with favor for anyone, regardless of position or standing. And finally, we will not permit consideration of religion, nationality, race, party politics, or social standings to intervene between us and our sworn duties.
That is your code of conduct, proposed
yes.
Code of conduct for the union.
Yes.
Is there a code of conduct in place now?
No,
there is
no?
Nothing.
No, sir.
So for all of the years of the union, it hasn't had a code of
Not all.
conduct?
No, none.
But if I may, Mr. Jones, I would like to just for a few seconds allude to the question that was asked the President as it relates to why John continued to be returned as President of the union. If you are aware, for the past 2 or 3 months, there had been 2 or 3 industrial agreements signed by the government by the union on behalf of the Bahamas Public Service Union. One for the general public service and the other for PHA. Mm-hmm. To date, those agreements is identical. There had been no consideration for PHA difference from the general public service. The only thing that I see is that the government allowed John Pinder to prostitute them in order to get selfish gain to see if he can be returned. Without, for the life of me, John Pinder alluded to the fact that the General Public Service Union was the fastest one that he ever signed, the quickest. This one with PHA, where did it come from? We didn't even know that they was negotiating with PHA. Now I am to learn that, which it was?
Monument and Antiquities.
Antiquities and Monument, an organization that we have been trying to get an agreement for the past 6 to 7 years, have now signed an agreement today. If that is true, I can't help but believe that the government is prosecuting itself for the benefit of John Pinder.
Oh, so there's collusion, you think?
There's got to be.
Between John Pinder and members of the government?
Stevie Wonder could see that something is wrong. It isn't right. It isn't right. All along there was no monies. Now that the election is at the doorstep, and now he's parading around and said that Mr. Gibson is doing this. I don't know if you remember a couple of months ago, the Ministry of Works had issues as it relates to hazard pay. We still haven't received those hazard pay yet. When the minister said that we should have it in a couple of days. That still is outstanding, but PHA agreement was signed and those persons was paid lump sum payments last week. Now he's saying that next week, after the election, persons are to expect more money from the government. John, I mean, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time.
Okay, let's take a break here on the program. We are speaking with the candidates, 3 of the candidates of the BPSU. The elections coming up this Friday. We'll come right back.